when you're in your 50s, you still have a good 30, 40 years of life left, with all the associated changes in your thinking and your mindset that you need to do to A, live a better life, and B, live a financially secure life.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, the podcast where we celebrate aging with vibrance and we defy the stereotypes of what it means to age. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, a psychotherapist of more than 30 years, here to introduce you to my off-the-mainstream guests who will energize and inspire you. My hope is to create optimism about getting older and help you cultivate zest and joy in this season of your life. And I love to hear feedback from you, my listeners. Please drop me a line at zestfulaging@gmail.com. I read every single comment. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. Well, are you one of those people who would rather talk about sex than money? Midlife women can put their heads in the sand about their financial future, and it is to our detriment. Today's guest helps women who live life to the fullest grow their financial confidence and financial wealth. Roxana Queenan helps people break through the mental and emotional barriers that stand in the way of their financial security, and she does it through education, community, one-on-one support, and a long-term investment strategy that's aligned with their needs, values, and purpose. And we are going to learn a lot today. Welcome to the show, Roxana.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for having me on the show. I was so excited about this conversation.
Oh, good. Well, it feels a little bit like, going to the dentist, right? I mean, you have to do it, but nobody really jumps up and down to say, oh, let me talk about, my finances and the future and what I have to be prepared with. Prepared for, it seems like there might be some anxiety there. Is that what you're seeing with your clients?
I do see that. I see the anxiety, I see the stress, and I see this feeling that I know I need to deal with my money, but please, do I have to?
That sounds like a great summary. Do you have any thoughts about why particularly midlife women are so reluctant to deal with our money?
I've given a lot of thought to this question, and I think there are many explanations. There's probably as many explanations as there are persons and their stories. But from my perspective, I'll give you a few of my thoughts around it and a few cases where we can hone in into the issues that go along with thoughts of money.
Mm-hmm.
The first reason I think is people don't like to deal with money is because money is so wrapped up with your personal history coming in from your childhood and your family that in any case, in any way that it hasn't been a positive, empowering experience, it's left a mark. It's left an emotional mark that practically nobody has really dealt with. So not having dealt with that family history goes with you throughout the years, and it translates into thoughts about money, which in reality are thoughts about your personal history and your self-image and so your self-concept and who you consider yourself to be as a person. Because let's face it, money is what? Money is paper, right? It's in a way, it's just a tool of exchange for goods and services. It is the meaning that we give to money that makes it so emotional and so fraught with challenges. And it can be a very limiting exercise trying to deal with your money.
Oh,
Um,
that's so interesting. And when you were talking about, I mean, I'm a psychotherapist, so this is like all in my sweet spot. But you talked about coming from maybe family history, and I immediately thought about possible shame.
I think so. And it's shame. It could be two ways, actually. It could be shame of not having money, but it also could be shame as having too much money.
Mhm.
So I have a client who's come from a very well-to-do family, but I think that family did have this kind of kind of shame around it. And the way she has told me is whenever we discussed money, my family always said, "Oh, we don't have money. We're not money people," and that has stayed with her and held her back considerably. She never thought
Mhm.
that she was entitled to have money. She never thought that money was something she needed to work for, or it was okay to work for money and build wealth for yourself. In a way, it was considered selfish. Needless to say, that has brought her to a situation when she is in middle age. She is about 50, and she has not done almost anything to build her financial security. And looking at this period of life that now we call retirement, I don't know what we will be calling going forward,
Mhm.
she doesn't have that much financial security.
That's fascinating. I would not have thought, as you say, the other direction, where people who may have money, they may have feelings, conflicted feelings about it. So that might also get in the way of them making good decisions about their future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess also the big, especially if you're in 50s, you're still in grew up at a time where it was accepted to talk to boys about money, but not girls. Boys were taught business and investing and going out there and doing things. And for women, it was always more towards family and caregiving. So
Mm.
different conversations. Um,
Hmm.
so here it's almost like a conflict within you, within your identity. Like we said, am I supposed to love money? Am I supposed to go out there and make it? Am I supposed to invest, build
And
wealth?
I want it, and say,
Yeah.
yes, I
Mhm.
want this much comfort and this much whatever opportunity, I want to have enough money to do this, and this.
Yeah, without money it's a tool of exchange, but it's also a resource. To me, it's energy as well. And if you block your energy, it's just going to take away from whatever it is that you want to do. Versus if you release the energy and treat it in a positive way, then it can help you achieve this idea of. I love this idea of living on your own terms and doing things in your life that are oriented towards fulfillment and achievement. And without that foundation of financial security, of knowing that you have enough money to live on, it's tough to focus on other sort of higher goals and higher planes of achievement.
Oh, for sure. I can totally understand that. So let's start with some practical stuff. And I know when we had talked earlier, we talked about sometimes when middle aged women have a partner, they may sort of leave it to the partner to make some financial decisions for the future. But what do midlife women really need to be aware of? Can you kind of run us through some basics of where to start?
Yes, gladly. So midlife women, the first thing we need to realize is that we're living in this amazing age in human history where our life expectancy is growing considerably, and we are routinely expected to live beyond 80 and 90 years old. And I know many people will say, well, my parents didn't live so long, so I don't expect it. It's much better to expect to live longer, because that is going to be the reality. And in that situation, when you're in your 50s, you still have a good 30, 40 years of life left,
Hmm.
with all the associated changes in your thinking and your mindset that you need to do to A, live a better life, and B, live a financially secure life. So, as the first order of priority, it's understanding that you need more money than you thought for a longer time than you thought.
Mm.
Yeah, and the second thing you need to think as a woman is it's still very probable that you will be living on your own for some period of time.
Mhm.
So these two, so first of all, you need more money, and then you also need to be able to manage it on your own. So these two factors have convinced me and have really urged me to talk to women in midlife and say, look, you need your own financial plan. You
Mhm.
need to be an active participant in your own finances and realize that your needs are separate and unique even from those of your husband. I have a friend who always says that you will be there to take care of your husband, but nobody will be there to take care of you. Um,
Mhm.
right? So
And
this
statistically speaking, we will outlive our partners.
we all live out partners, and sometimes people are surprised that the average age of widowhood is actually 59. So it's much earlier than you think it is. So
Mhm.
this number of years that you're on your own are could be long. So
Mhm.
what you want to do is you have your own financial plan that secures your income. It
Mhm.
secures you. It secures the money that you need to live on every month, every year, and hopefully you want to make sure that you live a good life, so that you maintain your lifestyle, or you change your lifestyle in the ways that you want versus in the ways that you have to.
I see. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yes, there is definitely financial plans are comprehensive. They need to be comprehensive. It's not just investing, but it's also, or nobody likes to talk about insurance, but it is insurance. It is your estate planning. It is your living. It is what it is that you want to happen to you as you age. And if something happens, this is a very personal experience for me and a very personal example. My best friend's mom just had a stroke, and my friend now is managing her care. And what she said was, you know what, my mom never put together those documents around sort of the living directives and advanced life directives and what to do in a situation when there is an emergency. So it was up to my friend. All of a sudden, it's her responsibility to make those decisions, and they're heart wrenching for a person to think through. It's my mom, so what do I do? I am now the sole decision maker. Thinking through that situation, I turned around to my husband like, "We did our estate planning. Do we have all of that?" And I
Mhm.
remember us going through those documents and making sure that everything was the way that we wanted to happen. So that is also part of your financial plan,
Mhm.
because I know very few women who want to be a burden, who want to have that kind of responsibility on their kids. So it's up to us to ensure that that happens, and it happens when we have our mind, we have our body, we have our faculties, so that we can plan for ourselves.
I think that is, I keep hearing this in different places for related to aging. I can't tell you how many people have said it's a real gift of love to have everything set. And, hearing examples of people having to go door to door to different banks and say, hey, did my parents have their accounts here? And didn't even know where to start, and you're all also grieving, so you don't really want to be having having the additional burden of trying to figure out some of these basics. um did you happen to use the 5 wishes? Is that something that you would recommend?
Yes, I would recommend using the 5 wishes. There are several things that you need to put together, whether it's your directives, it's what all of these documents that you need to put in place to make sure that people living proxy and healthcare proxy who will make decisions, all of these things that need to be in place.
It's hard to
Yeah.
think about. I mean, we can, it is anxiety provoking because, first of all, I think humans aren't great about like future thinking, right? And planning. That's why maybe people don't have savings accounts. But it's something that's distressing to say, well, when I can't make decisions for myself, no one really wants to linger on those ideas.
Yeah, and I find that you know what, it's best when you have a planner who can bring these up in ways that are more empowering than scary.
Mm.
I do definitely understand that, and it's dealing with your own mortality and dealing with unpleasant situations you don't want to think about.
Right.
I guess when the way if you structure the conversation in a context of making you maintain your dignity and comfort, and coming from love, just not for yourself but also your family, I think women really respond to that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but we got off to a lot of serious topics.
Yeah, we sure did. So you talked about the advanced directives, you talked about 5 wishes, which I strangely felt quite relieved after I went through 5 wishes. I didn't think it was going to, be a party, but there's something about like, okay, I have control. I have a say in how this will go that is oddly liberating.
Yeah, it's almost like you make the decision, here it is, and nobody has to think about it.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
neither do you. You know, it's down, it's there. You can update it if something drastic happens, but at least you've dealt with it. You know, have something in place, and you can live your best life every
Mhm.
day and worry
Mhm.
less.
Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about health insurance? I mean, that's kind of a disaster in this country. And I'm just, I remember us talking originally and you saying that that's something that women may need to pay particular attention to if they're getting health insurance through their partner.
Yes, as we all know, and as we see, healthcare is not getting cheaper, and on the contrary, it's getting more expensive. And again, if you're living longer, you need healthcare for a longer number of years. You also need many both doctor's appointments and prescriptions, but also ways to get to the doctor when you're older. So Fidelity had published a report, I think about a year ago, saying that for a couple in their 60s today, they need about $300,000 just for out-of-pocket expenses. So multiply that by inflation, and every year going up, and our care getting more complex, because I think healthcare is advancing, right? We're always coming up with new
Mm,
treatments and
mm,
new ways to prolong our life and make our quality of life better. But again, it's at a higher cost, and the more sophisticated the solutions, the higher the cost. So having the cash and the money saved in an account specifically for healthcare costs will give you a lot of peace of mind. And specifically, if you are able to do an HSA account, a health savings account, it's a
mm,
very tax beneficial tool for putting away money specifically for healthcare. And I've seen people who have contributed to that account over time have a little more confidence and a little more relief around mounting healthcare costs.
mhm.
And obviously, once so when you turn 65, you have Medicare, and but there is also holes in coverage that you need to be cognizant of, even with the healthcare.
And Medicare does not cover long-term health care, is that correct?
That's correct. And it doesn't. Many people think that it does, but health Medicare will cover your hospital stays and emergency care and a few things, but not it's not long term care. It's not assisted living. It's nothing that has to do with sort of you living somewhere and needing help on a regular basis. I do recommend getting a long-term care insurance. I feel that it's one of the toughest sells to, so to speak, to my clients emotionally, and also people feel that it's too expensive for what it provides. But unless you're really financially independent and can self-insure and actually project inflation and then some, then it could be wise to get long-term care.
I know that's really a controversial subject. I've heard stories about people having long term care and you have to wait, is it 90 days to,
Mhm.
yeah. So there is some out of pocket and it gets very complicated. And then there's the whole Medicaid question and it gets very complicated.
It does. I think the best thing to do is to work with an expert in those areas and really get educated around these issues, because you don't want to discover any of the rules and the complications as you're going through a situation and as you are near the time when you need the
Mhm,
care or the money. Yeah, long-term care. I know it's not easy because it's um it's expensive, and all the insurance, there are so many insurance companies that got out of the market because it was so expensive. But here's the thing again, if we're thinking about we us as women, in most cases our husbands are a little older, or it happens that they lose their health before we do.
mhm,
And if all of your assets go towards helping your husband live his life and for his care, again, if there is not, you don't have a plan for what would happen after that, then you're stuck. um,
mhm,
Many people say, well, I have a house and I will sell it, but you don't want to just rely on this asset, because you could be in a market like this, right? The housing market is quite tough. And also you don't want to have a fire sale on your house just because you need the money.
mhm,
And another thing is just this thinking through, when you're older, do you want to be moving out of your house when you're 85, and who's going to do the sale and who's going to do the open house and all of these things? So logistically, it doesn't really work. It sounds good in theory, but in practical terms, you don't want to have that as your main plan.
mhm, mhm. And so are these the kind of things you go through with your clients, all of these kind of questions?
I do. What I find when I start working with clients is it's a process, it's a journey. It takes time, it takes education, it takes patience on my part just to keep bringing up these conversations. When I first start working with clients, they typically come to me because there is some issue, something on their mind now that needs to be taken care of. If I start working with my clients in their 40s and 50s, it could be college tuition, it could be a job change, and you need your money being managed by somebody better, or you're moving to a new state, you sold a house, you want a plan. But then over time, I evaluate my clients' lives. I get to know them. I get to know their situation, what is important to them, what their risks are, and what the holes are in their financial planning, so that I can start bringing those up and making maybe one or two issues a priority every year. So that
Mm,
over time, we can put together and put in place a plan that my clients can feel a lot of comfort in,
mhm,
and it will give them this peace of mind that they have their finances squared away and handled, and they have that much less of that anxiety that we talked about when we first started our
mhm,
conversation.
mhm. Yeah, it sounds like you maybe have to be sometimes part therapist to kinda help ease their anxiety with these big decisions.
Yes, I definitely. I've heard that before. I feel like that any
Mm,
professional who works with people, it has to be a
mhm,
therapist, and I think
mhm,
it's just basically understanding people's feelings and emotions and some what could be holding them back in a particular situation. Think what helps is that amount of time, the number of meetings we have, the conversations that we bring up, and also helping my clients take responsibility for their own finances as well. because it's really a two-way street. It's a two-way relationship. There is if I recommend a solution, um, it is a matter of trust, but it's also a matter of thinking and really taking either the risk or making yourself uncomfortable, but realizing that it's for your own good and actually implementing that recommendation.
Mhm. Yeah. It must be satisfying to know that you're doing right by your clients and that their lives will ultimately be better because they've done this work in preparation for changes.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about serious topics, but ultimately the goal of everything that we're doing is for my clients to really do things that they enjoy on a daily basis. Go out with friends, make new hobbies, travel, see family. Find fulfillment, or do, I don't know, start a nonprofit. And I know you and I, Nicole, have spoken and you've shared some amazing stories of women who do just these incredible things. To me, age is not a limit. It's an opportunity, especially now when you're in your 50s. It's just this new opening.
Mm.
So, what I want my clients is I want to position them to do all of these things,
Mhm.
and they will have better experience because they have this sense of financial security, and then the fact that they don't have to worry about money. Because once you put these things in place, then it's not like you have to change them all the time.
Mhm.
When you
Mhm.
don't have those things, they're just kind of in the back of your mind, regardless of whether you say, "Oh, I'm not thinking about this" or not.
Yeah, you're avoiding it. It's still there knocking at the door. That's a really interesting point that once you settle this and kind of go through whatever discomfort, it's pretty much set. And you may make some adjustments, but
Mhm.
that, I can imagine that really offering some comfort. Um, to people for sure, for sure. So like what's the first little baby step for our listeners who might be thinking, "Oh boy, I got to get going on this." Let's set them up with something that they can do without being too overwhelmed, but start the ball rolling.
You know what I find a lot of times, and I've heard that again and again from clients who I just started working with is, I don't know where I am. I don't know where anything is. I have some policies, some 401k, some IRAs. I don't know where things are. So what I would recommend is actually going through your financials and getting real clarity as to what you have, what you own, what you owe, where are all of your accounts, what's their worth, what are the logins, just getting yourself organized in a way where you can lay everything out on a spreadsheet, or even on a table, and say, okay, this is where I am.
Mm,
um, and then make sort of an evaluation of, well, how do I feel about where I am? Do I have a sense of peace that, what, I've done a good job, I've built great financial security? Or as you go through this, you can say, well, wait a minute, I think these things are missing from my financial picture. At that point, you can just from knowing where you are, you can start formulating a plan as to where you want to go.
that makes a lot of sense. So, like the initial thing is just the basic "Where am I?" laying out the whether it's online or you get it in paper, is just to line up your investments, to line up your expenses, make sure you have logins. Some people, right, they might put it in a big binder. Is that something you
Mhm.
recommend?
I would recommend putting it in a binder, but also in a digital binder as well, somewhere online. And I know there is issues with security and hacking and things like that, but having a place where everything is consolidated digitally,
Mm-hmm.
that um, somebody else has access to it, I think is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
s- so yeah, definitely have that binder, and also have a place, a secure place online that you can access your most important documents.
That's great. I had a funny thing this year. I said, let's use Valentine's Day to make sure we're organized because that is the holiday
Yeah.
of love, and it seems like this could be a good time to make sure the people you love are taken care of and know what to expect.
Yeah, I think that is a measure of love. I love you. I love that idea, Nico.
Well, this is
I'm gonna
great.
start recommending that to my clients
Okay, well, you do
instead
that
of
and then
going spending money on a restaurant and then forget and then fighting
yeah,
the crowds.
that's right. That's exactly it. That's so great. Well, I love your philosophies, and it sounds like you have such understanding and empathy for people who are in the position of, being in midlife, being women, and all that comes with that in terms of the societal kind of expectations. Where can people find out more about you and your work and how to get in touch with you?
The best way to find out about me is if you go to my website, queenvestllc.com. You can learn a little bit more about me, my story, why I am doing what I'm doing, and get in touch with me. So, knowing that how important income is to our sense of security, I put together a guide to 10 sources of passive income that you can earn, not having to leave your job or change your career or starting a business. So that it's on my website and you can download it. And then from there on, you can choose to subscribe to my newsletter. I send out weekly-ish posts. So I know financial advisors can be very dry and boring and talk about things that, okay, yeah, markets and things like that. So I try to be more
Human.
more human, exactly.
Yeah.
And especially with midlife women, I am one of them. I am a busy mother. I'm a busy a business owner. All these issues that my clients are having, I go through them, and I find that sometimes when people talk about, well, how do I save time, or what is it that's frustrating to me today, or what was the one good decision that I made today for myself to take care of myself, and how that helped me. So I put those things in my blog as well.
I
Um,
love that. That's so it's Queen Vest.
Queen Vest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
LLC.com.
QueenVestLLC.com.
And
Hmm.
I'll put that in the show notes. And you obviously work with people also virtually.
I do. I'm based in Massachusetts, but I have
Mhm,
clients all over the country. I think that the one of the benefits of us being in a virtual world
mhm,
is that opportunity to not be bound by geography. So I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity to help women across the country. Um,
mhm.
as long as I can inspire you to take charge of your finances, and
Mhm.
I'm there for you.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you so much for making this a little bit more human and not as, frightening. And I love the idea that, this is really about so you can go forward and live a life that you want to live. It's, to not get stuck in like all the scary stuff, but to say this is a tool. The money's a tool and you want to make sure that it's there for you when you need it.
Yes, I think that's my philosophy of life. I cheer on women who do things in their lives, who achieve what is it that's in their hearts, to give themselves permission to live on their own terms. And I consider it's my job and my privilege to help them do that by helping women build the financial confidence and the financial wealth that they need to live their best lives.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much for spending time with me this morning, Rosanna.
And thank you for having me, Nicole.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.